Hello everybody, welcome back to DLD Customs. Dylan here, and today I'm going to be talking about the top 5 things to look for when purchasing a new vehicle. So starting out at number 5 is going to be the transmission. So transmission, you can't necessarily look at it and see if it's messed up. Some you can if you literally explode your transmission, but for the most part for a transmission you have to just feel it and how it shifts between every gear. So if I were to go purchase a new vehicle and I was driving it and it slips the gears, say it revs up a little bit higher than it should before it shifts, that'll be like slipping gears. Or if it shifts real hard before it, like if you can feel your transmission go plunk before you actually shift into your next gear, or while you're shifting into your next gear, that might be something you want to stay away from, just because of the fact that you might be changing out the transmission or paying somebody to change the transmission. Starting out at number 4, one thing that I always look for when purchasing a new vehicle is what kind of tires are on it. Not necessarily the kind of tires, but the condition of the tires on it. Like, is it going to be able to drive me home safely? When I first picked up my vehicle that I'm driving daily at the moment, 1988 GMC Sierra, the tires were kind of dry rotted, but they had good tread, and I knew they would get me home at least. Well, I ended up not being able to get home because of other issues, but the tires were not part of the issue. So I'm going to hop out here. It's going to be a little bit windy, so just bear with me, but I'm going to show you guys the new tires I got on this thing, and just show you guys kind of what to look for when looking at your tires. So these are the tires that used to be on my truck. They're Goodyear Wrangler radials. Yeah, Goodyear Wrangler radials. And when I first bought my truck, this is what came on them. They're not too terribly bad, but as you can see, there's dry rotting all throughout them. Like, look down in here in between this crack. That's like how they are throughout the whole tire pretty much. But they all held air, and I knew they were able to make me home. So I'm gonna go over here and show you guys my brand new tires I got. They're Dextero All-Terrain 235/75 R15s. As you can see, these are just normal cracks in the tread, so that's nothing to worry about, but there's no dry rotting, nothing in it. But yeah, that's number 4 on the list, is the tires. Starting out at number 3 on the list, one thing that I always look for is the suspension. Not just the rear shocks, I'm talking the front suspension as well. Now, the front suspension, on this truck isn't the greatest. A lot of the parts are all old, probably most likely factory from this vehicle, but I knew, me personally, I do a lot of my own work on vehicles, so I know eventually I can change them out myself. At least should be able to. So I wasn't really too worried about that, because I knew, pretty much everything on a vehicle is replaceable. But I knew that's something that I could replace, so I chose to still buy this vehicle, even though the suspension's fine. It's okay, it feels good and everything. But it doesn't look the greatest. There's grease coming out of the boot certs, and just different types of things like that make it not the greatest, but it's not the worst. I don't have loose ball joints or tie rods. It feels pretty good while driving. It's not, like when I hit a bump, it ain't just bam, it's pretty smooth hitting bumps and stuff. But yeah, definitely the suspension is coming in at number 3 on this list, just because of the fact that suspension components are a main part of your vehicle. If you break a tie rod or a ball joint, you're not going to be driving too much farther. Especially if you're driving, you're going to be driving most likely into the ditch or into another vehicle. So that's one of the top 3 things that I always look for when purchasing a vehicle. If you guys are enjoying this video, if you are, make sure you go down below, leave a like, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button. It'd definitely be appreciated from myself. Make me have more incentive to make more videos to help people out. But yeah, coming in at number 2 on the list here in a second. Coming in at number 2 on the list is going to be the motor. The motor is one of the key aspects in buying a vehicle, in my personal opinion. Just because without a motor, you're not going to go too far. So one thing I always like to look for when purchasing a new vehicle is just how it sounds. If it doesn't sound like a good motor, most likely I'm probably not going to buy it, just because of the fact that I really don't want to have to replace a motor in a vehicle for a while. One of the main reasons I bought the truck that I have now is because it has a 170 on it when I first picked it up. It's got 171,124 now. But I'm going to start it up and let you guys listen to how it sounds. I don't know, to me it sounds like a pretty healthy motor. So, you know, if you start a vehicle up and you hear like a tick, 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 or like a bam, 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 like a pop, 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 any kind of noises, most likely means something bad is going to happen to that motor. I can't tell you exactly how long it could take. It could take a day, it could take a year. But, you know, like a rod knock or a motor tick, those are both very, very bad things to have happened to your vehicle, because something major on the internals of the motor is going to give out, and it's going to be pretty costly, and it may even cost you a new motor. Another thing I like to look at, which I'm going to hop out and show you guys here in a second, I always check the oil cap on a vehicle to see if there's any kind of nasty contaminants, you know, like a foamy, milky kind of color on it, just because that could be like a head gasket's going out, or something something major is not right with the motor. If you're in, you know, the smell of it, if it doesn't smell like oil, I usually tend to stay clear of buying vehicles that have bad smells in the oil, or milky, foamy, you know, kind of colors, just because that could be some major damage. Saying, guys, I always come take the oil cap off and look at it. It's a little bit dirty, but there's no milky. It smells like good oil. You know, you can tell when oil's been old, dried, and burned up. But that's definitely one of the main things that I look for when purchasing a new vehicle. And last and finally, coming in at number 1 on the list is the frame of the vehicle. Now, I usually tend to buy trucks just because that's my personal preference. So, trucks have a frame, but cars are a little bit different. Cars have what you call a unibody, which is pretty much the same concept as a frame. It pretty much holds it together. But it's a lot harder to tell if a unibody's bad than if a frame's bad. Excuse me. Now, if you have a bad frame on a truck, you can see holes or cracks in the frame. Now, on a unibody, it's a little bit different. You can't. There is ways to tell. I'm not an expert on cars. I really don't work on cars too much. You know, I do a little bit of helping my buddy out. I usually mainly do with trucks, but I know with a unibody, they can have holes in them. They could be bent out of place, just kind of stuff like that. One of the main reasons why I also bought this truck that I'm driving is because it has a solid frame on it. So here in a second, I'm going to go out and show you guys, but one of the main things, like, say if you were looking at a frame and it's got holes like Swiss cheese, like a piece of Swiss cheese, you know, with holes through it, I'd stand clear. Now, frames are replaceable. It's a lot of work, but you can replace a frame, but I don't know if you'd want to get into that when purchasing a vehicle. That's for you to decide, not me. We are going to be replacing a frame here coming up eventually on a 2000 Wrangler. But I usually tend to stand clear from frames that have issues, just because a lot of things can happen if a frame snaps, or if something goes bad on a frame. It could cost you a vehicle. Personally, I think a bad frame could be a vehicle costing expense. I'm not saying I wouldn't ever replace a frame on a vehicle, but it comes with a lot of work. So that's one thing to always look for. That's probably my number 1 thing to always look for, is the frame. So I'm going to cop out under here and show you guys the frame on my truck, and one of the main reasons why I actually bought this truck. So as you guys can see here, these holes right here are normal for a frame. Like, frames do have holes in them. I'm talking holes that are not supposed to be on the frame. But for the most part, I mean, not for the most part, but the whole frame on this thing is solid. I went through it when I was looking at it, and there's no soft spots, there's no holes through it, which is, like, yeah, it's got a lot of rust on it. You can see some surface rust there. But that's one of the main reasons why I bought this vehicle, is because how solid the frame is. Thank you guys for watching this top 5 things to look for when purchasing a new vehicle. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I want you guys to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about this video. I'm going to be doing more types of videos like this, not just working on my vehicles. Still going to post those types of videos, but I'm going to switch to start doing some other things vehicle related, not just working on them, but like kind of videos to help purchasing and just stuff to do to your vehicles, and just, you know, little videos like that to try to help some people out. But thank you guys for watching this. I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next video.